Why you got me so confused? Without you, got the blues. Check for you like the news. High sex when we ain't new. Wanna give my check to you. Don't know how you do what you do. Sex ain't like a wet dream. You sexy, you let me. If you ever meet a girl named Tina, I'ma tell you what'll happen if you see her. I tell you what'll happen if you leave her. Nobody told me if you leave her. She had some candles, ain't think nothing of it. She started chanting, I thought she was coming. It was a mantra, now I'm bound to this woman, and I love it. Hey, why you got me so confused? Without you, got the blues. Check for you like the news. High sex when we ain't new. Wanna give my check to you. Don't know how you do what you do. Sex ain't like a wet dream. You sexy, you let me. If you ever meet a girl named Tina, I'ma tell you what'll happen if you see her. I tell you what'll happen if you leave her. Nobody told me if you leave her.
Peace, everybody. Thank you for coming to our daily energy reading. I'm the Hood Mystic, representing www.hoodmystic.com. Before we start this presentation, just want to invite everybody to hit up Instagram at Cali _ IFE. Spirit Box LLC is the movement. Custom made jewelry, custom made earrings, custom made crystal rings. Also ask about the Spirit Box. Well, she just loads you up with a whole bunch of spiritual things. All things like it's dope. Just ask about the Spirit Box. Instagram at Cali _ IFE. The sponsor for today's episode. The sponsor for the week. And if you're interested in being a sponsor of these daily energy readings, please email me at hoodmystic@gmail.com. Peace, everybody. Mr. John with me on the live once more as we attempt to embrace the infinite. Yesterday, we discussed emptying our cup. And that's on the website, www.hoodmystic.com. Also, the notes for this daily energy reading are on the website as well. I used to have like the notes. That was kind of like tedious. So what I'll do the day before each energy reading video, there'll be a website, there'll be a article posted on my website, kind of give you a base of what we'll be talking about the next morning. So I posted these the 2 previous nights, and today we'll be discussing embracing the infinite. And the reason why I mentioned the previous article or the previous episode of these daily energy readings is based upon the fact that they go together. So generally, if you find yourself in these daily energy readings, it serves you to check out the website. The articles are about like 3 paragraphs long, nothing long, but it'll just give you a base as to what we're talking about. So this information will be easily digested, where if we don't have bases and we don't have lead ups to particular information, then it seems far-fetched and it seems impossible. And this is kind of the energy of spirituality within itself and the infinite within itself. There is the finite world, and then there's the infinite world. Peace to everybody. Peace, Stan. Peace, Ronnie. Peace, Ashley. Thanks for joining me this morning. And what I would like to say before I get into this, be sure to hit the like button. It's very simple to just, hit that little like, and it really helps with my analytics and things of that nature. It gets more people involved. and things like that. And it really is nothing to just simply hit that like button. So please, even if you're not going to listen to the video, hit a dislike, likes and dislikes, even if you don't either like it or dislike it. It'll really help this channel. So appreciate that. And the people that's on the chat, make sure you let people know, hey, you on the live, it's okay to hit the like button. It's okay. Nothing's gonna happen. But anyways, when you think about the infinite world versus the finite world, finite is taken from the etymological and this finite is finish, meaning an ending, meaning something that is carefully crafted and put together. Peace, everybody. Grand Rising. Infinite is the opposite of that. So within itself, infinite is not defining. You find that in consciousness and spirituality and everything that we're trying to discuss, it's hard because it's representing the infinite, and the infinite cannot be defined. And this is a space that we live in. This is the spiritual reality that we live in. And then we try to simply put the finite on top of the infinite, and that just will never work. And it's okay to not be completely definitive of your spiritual energy, especially if you don't know, especially if you can't really tell or figure it out, and you want to put a label on it and you want to make it so real and so tangible. And the reality is we simply can't, because as all things rise, all things fall. And if we put our faith and hope into what's rising, then we are also going to feel the emotional pull to it falling. But when we deal with the infinite, when we deal with the center of the galaxy that rests within our being, there is no limit. It is all things. And this is what we're trying to embrace. And if our cup is already filled with preconceived notions and ideologies of what life should be and what life isn't, then the idea of the infinite is going to go completely over your head, okay? So we're going to look at Jupiter today, Jupiter being the ruler of Thursday, and it's forming a T-square with Neptune and Venus. And this T-square is rather new, as Venus comes into full conjunction and now moving away from the opposition to Jupiter. Is actually moving towards a square with Neptune. So as Venus moves into a square with Neptune and moves away from this opposition with Jupiter, this is like a screenshot or a capturing of the actual T-square. And the T-square, very simple analogy of a T-square, is a box that you cannot fit in. And wherever the T-square lands at in your chart, or we have T-square energy on the planet, if you are born with the T-square, it's simply stating that there is a box that you can't fit in. And you have a choice. You can fit in this box, or you can get out of the box and see exactly what your energy is leading you to. The head of this T-square is Neptune in Aquarius, Aquarius being an air sign, but with strong emotional tendencies. Like it's airy, but it's deeply emotional based upon the revelations that come about. And as Neptune almost finished with its whole push through Aquarius, you could honestly say over the past year, 2 years, 3 years, your idea of who you are, your idea of life is under real examination and real scrutiny. And so Neptune in Aquarius is trying to awaken you to the reality of you. And to get to this point, Neptune has to take your emotions and really be Aquarian with it, because the Aquarius is known as the water bearer. And in my understanding, the water bearer is an individual who is taking his water is always synonymous with emotions, and lifting it over his shoulder. Therefore, if I'm highly emotional about things in this life that are completely illusionary, but I'm deeply emotionally attached to it, then the Aquarian aspect, or the Aquarian age, or Neptune in Aquarius is not tangible, it's not real. It doesn't even hold weight, because what's going on with your mama and your daddy, that's too much of an emotional toil to carry. And if you can't carry it, you'll be particularly stuck in an emotional frequency. And this is really the game. I was watching this movie called The Men Who Stared at Goats, and it was a particular part of this movie where they go into like this secret base in Afghanistan, and the place is called Psych. And when one of the lead characters walk in, he's like, "Oh, this is a psychic place." He's like, "No, psychological." And so what tends to happen is that we think that this thing is magical and all like unexplainable and undefinable. And that's because we haven't ventured into the realms of psychology. And the reason why we don't venture into the realms of psychology is because it's extremely vast. And I've been studying psychology for years. When I first studied psychology, it was like I was learning a whole completely different language. But you figure 5 years of intensely studying a particular 5 years of studying a particular subject, peace to everybody. We will learn, and I I invite everybody to take a look into writings by Young, and even if they seem abstract at first, really get into it, because therefore once you deal with your psychological, you are engaging in your quote unquote psychological could be invariably the same word, because psych is just the soul. And when you fully understand your soul is incredibly psychic, your soul is incredibly resourceful, your soul is incredibly all-knowing. And this is not connected to your human capacity to think. So in this space, Neptune in Aquarius is the reality that we could think ourselves into a form of bliss, into a form of happiness, into a form of success. Like we could actually think it. And that's not what that's not what Jupiter is actually speaking to. Neptune is actually speaking to. When you deal with a T-square, it involves a variety of elements. So you have earth, you have air, and you have water. You have the mental relationship center aspects, you have the emotional aspects, and then you have the actual physical, tangible aspects. And all of these things are irreconcilable and in opposition to one another. Go ahead. Ashe. Sorry. And then when understanding this, we can easily identify the toxic areas, because the toxic areas in our lives are not the areas that make us feel bad. That's not toxic. Because if a situation makes us feel bad, then we're easily like, I'm not going to do that because I don't like that, or that doesn't feel good. That's not necessarily toxic. It is the situations that we've accepted and focused on emotionally that are no good for us. And even though they make us feel bad, we are emotionally attached to it. So we're willing to take all of the good and all of the bad without even realizing what we're doing to ourselves. A relationship, a marriage that we don't no longer want to be in, but this emotional attachment and this legal attachment and attachment is the reason why we're in these unions. And even when we try to separate or, think about other things or cheat or get readings about the relationship, and if you don't like it and you're not happy, then you should leave. See, that's toxic. That's really toxic because in your mind, you're really thinking of, you know, it's gonna pay off at the end. But in this moment, you're going through hell. So therefore, that's the box that you're living in that you no longer fit. As Neptune grows, as these planets grow, as these planets mature, we cannot be in the same situations previous to our conscious awakening. I've had hundreds of readings up to this point. The amount of people who come to me for a reading and still state how much they're in love with their husband or wife, very, very few. Either they're single and they want to get a relationship, or they're in a relationship and they're going through hell. Those are really the only two options. I've rarely got a reading from an individual speaking about how much they're in love with their partner, but they still want to get a reading. In that space, because Neptune is in the space of kind of just moving out of the 7th house into the 8th house, into the transformative space, it's interesting how the 7th house leads to the 8th house. The 7th house ruled by Libra, the 8th house ruled by Scorpio, and Libra is the house of relationships. And straight out of relationships, you go straight to alchemy. You go straight to the shadow world. So therefore, if your idea on love is based upon TV and entertainment and media and R&B songs and slow songs and things of that nature, then you have no idea what a relationship is all about according to astrology. Because if I'm going to make a commitment to an individual, then I got to be able to do the alchemy of that whole situation. I got to see the ins, the outs, the good and the bad. I have no emotional expectation towards my wife. We are doing the alchemy together. If I'm pissed off or if I'm angry, this is an emotion. I am not emotion. I am in the infinite. And as an infinite being, you will experience emotions. Don't attach to the emotions, good or bad. Attach to the feeling of you. What do you feel like and what do you want to share? I know what it feels like to be me. I know what my energy feels like within myself. This is why I can share it freely and easily. And what I'm trying to share is my peace to my wife. I'm not trying to create a fairy tale movie star relationship. I'm trying to learn myself and share positive vibrations and then process the things that happen when I'm with her, the negative things that come up, the anger that comes up, the pain, the sadness, all of these things come up in a relationship, but I process it. You can only be in so many relationships till you figure out that you're the problem. And once you figure out you're the problem, it doesn't serve you to go looking for person to person to person to person to person. It ain't the people, it's you. It's always you. And that's kind of the toughest thing to deal with any type of T-square, because I guess a T-square within itself, it indicates personal responsibility. It indicates bringing opposites together. It indicates reconciling squares. Who really wants to do that? We all want to live a perfect life and never have anything to worry about and get fed grapes to us on a Roman bed or something by, this crazy fantasy shit of what we think our lives should be, and then we begin to work towards what we think our lives should be, and we never simply tap into the infinite potential that exists within the world. And as Venus transits this exact point, it speaks to spontaneity and the ability to channel new energy. And the way that we channel this new energy is after crisis, after we tear down particular boundaries. And when we tear down those particular boundaries that we had an emotional attachment with, is going to create a level of sadness. We talked about this in previous episodes. We cannot imagine to quit our jobs, to break up with relationships, and not feel that residual emotional attachment being burnt away. But of course, we do it within it. We do it anyways. And after it, that's when the magic starts to happen. That's when the spontaneity has to be enacted. That's when this infinite potential begins to speak through you. It doesn't speak through you with a full cup. It can't speak through. It's like in your rational mind, if you had a cup full of water and I told you I got some new fire, gold, platinum water that if you drink 2 sips, you gonna be walking on the moon. It got the limitless pill, it got DMT, it got LSD in it. It's the best water you ever had in your whole entire life. But your cup is already full with bullshit water. Then it's irrelevant. You on the internet searching for new information. You in the library looking for new books, but you got old emotional attachments to shit that it does not matter what you learn. It does not matter what you know. This is the game. So when we study Vedic, when we study spirituality, when we get into our different lifetimes and things of that nature, it's forcing us to let go of these emotional attachments that we have within this lifetime. We begin to let them go because this has happened lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Oh, my mama did this in this lifetime. My brother did this. Now my brother is my husband. And now we have to work out this karma. You know, a lot of times, this is show called Outlander. And a lot of times when it comes to bloodlines and the people that we attracted to, it's generally based upon the fact that we had previous lifetime karma. It's this show called Outlander, and the main character, she's married to this guy, and she time travels back in time. And the ancestor of her husband is this guy named Black Jack. And if you watch that show and you know Black Jack is, I've watched plenty of movies, plenty of shows, plenty of shit. Black Jack is the most vilest, the most sickest criminal, evil antagonist I've ever seen in any type of movie. So, and when she goes back in time, she meets this Irish dude and she marries him. And the Irish dude and Black Jack, they got karma. They got real karma. And so when she goes back from that previous life into this life with this knowledge of who her husband's ancestor was, that creates all types of shit. It's like, it's hard to reconcile that shit. And I ain't finished with the series, so I don't know what's going to happen at the end. But I'm trying to figure out, like, how do you reconcile the fact that your husband's ancestors, like, brought real life hell to you in a previous lifetime? And when you attract these people, this is why at first it's all lovey-dovey. I love this person. I want to have babies with you. I want to get married with you. And once that DNA begins to evolve and unravel and you see the karmic point to this relationship and you realize, well, you probably don't even realize, but the reality is it has nothing to do with this lifetime, right? You don't even really like this person, you know. Past you not liking them, you can't stand them. Past you can't stand them, you hate them, you know. But if you stuck in this lifetime, oh, we got married, we had a marriage and he brought me a ring and we had these kids and we did this and we did that. But what about 3 lifetimes ago when he enslaved your family? Or his ancestors enslaved your family, and this is that karmic bond. You know, that's what it is. But we can't even process this shit because we inundated with all types of media, entertainment, news, sports. You know, we can't process the past lifetimes. We can't even get to that point. So this is why we must embrace the infinite. So what we talked about Venus, Jupiter, Neptune. Promise I ain't gonna keep y'all long. I promise. So ultimately, I guess what we would say in this T square and trying to understand it from a real life perspective, a real life application, it's truly an understanding of emotional correspondence. And what I mean by emotional correspondence is that you can only emotionally correspond to that which is true. And the only thing that is true is your internal innermost soul. This is the only reality. And the interesting thing about this only true reality is that it's completely unseen and that it's completely infinite and that it may never be finished. There is no end goal. There is no point of time where you can look back and just be like, nigga, we made it. We did everything we need to do. I'm just about to go to an island and I'm about to chill. That's not really spirituality. People invest in spirituality past their lifetime for future generations and still find the time once they transition out of the body to come down to the earth and deliver messages to us in our dreams. Therefore, it's a dedication to spirituality that's not even within this lifetime. Like, you would have to think 3-4 lifetimes in the future, maybe even more. See, and where we're at as a people, we only care about this moment, this party that we going to, this vacation that we about to take, this finite thing that we're going to experience that's going to make us feel better. And once we experience this, everything is wiped off and we're good. Once I sell enough products, once I make enough money, once I get this relationship sorted out, once I start my business, once I create something finite, then I will be happy. Embracing the infinite just expresses a different idea. It simply states that you won't be happy until you embrace the infinite, which you already are. And the idea of trying to manifest things is just something that you've accepted and you really feel as though by manifesting it is going to make your life better. And that could be true. It could not be true. What's true is that the infinite is always around you and available for you to tap into. And so, more money, more problems. It's like people would never really feel that until they actually had money and had to really manage and couldn't depend on the actual job to bring them actual finances. It's like, you know, it's very tough to maintain money and grow it and make sure that you have it for future times, you know. And there in that space, you have more problems than a person who doesn't really have that much money. So when we're broke, we can really be happy, you know, because we don't have to focus on anything except, you know, life. But once we have money, that's a whole nother game. And once people have money, the thing now is to protect it. So you're right about that. More money, more problems. Biggie said it best. So from this point, looking at these tarots and how they rule the deacons, and we dealing with these 3 sevens. The sevens in tarot are shitty cards. Sevens, 7 of this, 7 of swords, 7 of cups, 7 of wands. 7 of wands is favorable. That's probably why we don't got anything in the Leo deacon presently. You know, it's just unaspected being free. The 7 of wands energy. So in dealing with a T-square, because it deals with 3 planetary aspects that are irreconcilable. To get to the level of balance is to work with the planet that's not unaspected. So if we're dealing with the 3rd deacon of Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, respectively, the only deacon that's left out is fire, which is found in the 3rd deacon of Leo. In that space, then what is needed is courage, passion, the ability to be a leader, that Leo energy that may not be present. And as we look at the tarot cards, where Venus is at is ruled by the Seven of Discs. And the Seven of Discs, if we look at this lady, she has 2 discs in her hands where she has prosperity. She has everything that she needs in her hand, and she has the whole world to go out and to explore. The whole world to see, and she may not be able to see it because it's a mountain range blocking her view. And since the mountain range is there, and since she dropped those cups on the ground, and maybe those discs are broken, right? The disc, she can't use them any longer. And since she can't use those plates or discs any longer, she sits and looks at that sadness. She ain't moving. She not trying to get to see what's on the other side of the mountain. Shorty is literally just sitting there looking at her sadness. Well, this happened in high school, Hood Mystic. This happened 20 years ago, Hood Mystic. This happened with my mama, Hood Mystic. I ain't have a daddy to raise me, Hood Mystic. Everything, every reason that you have for being sad, I've done heard it, and I don't care, because I got my reasons for being sad too. I just choose not to sit there and look at it. There's something on the other side of the mountain, and I need to kind of see what that is for real. I'm not about to sit here and y'all talk about Black America this, Black kids this, Black teens this. You ain't gonna make it past 24. Oh, you been to prison. You got a number. You ain't gonna never be shit. All these types of things we could all sit and look at and have emotional pity parties. But we have to really understand that that's a choice. And if we look on the other side of the square, I like that we talked about this in the full moon video. And as these planets are still in the placement of the full moon, we can still talk about these cards at fuller detail. The Seven of Cups and the Seven of Swords. Jupiter is square the Seven of Swords. And this is a hard thing to deal with, especially if you aspire to be great, especially if you aspire to be more. In the space of aspiring to be great, in the space of aspiring to be more, you have admirers, you have people who are seeking your attention. And in the same space, you have conspirators. You have people that love you, you have people that want the best for you, and you have people that want to tear you down. These things exist in the same space simply because you decided to be more, simply because you decided to be better. And as a square presents itself, the question would be, are you going to acquiesce to the people who are out against you, or are you going to acquiesce to your supporters and your admirers and figure out a way through support? And this is the square. And the Seven of Swords is squaring the Seven of Discs as well. And if we could just put our minds in a space where we could imagine that other people are out to get us, and then we could just be like, well, I'm not even moving anywhere. I'm not even like, this could be something that's like, oh, I'm afraid to move forward because people was out to get me. But we got to put this all together. You got support too. And you not moving. This is the opposition. You not moving and you not recognizing your support. And the mental relationship king of this Neptune energy, the opposite, the real block is to thinking that people is out to get you, people want to stop you, and there's like this negative force field that's holding you back, when really it's you in the Seven of Discs being stuck. Or in the Seven of Cups, not realizing the support that comes through alchemy. Pretty much all I had to say this morning. So be sure to check out Instagram at Kali, KALI_IFE, the sponsor for the show. Just want to thank her for her sponsorship. Anybody interested in being a sponsor for the week on these daily energy readings, please email me at hoodmystic@gmail.com. I'm the Hood Mystic representing hoodmystic.com. Also part owner of altercreations.net with my wife. Just want to invite people to visit that site. Appreciate everybody for joining me on the live. Actually written out the notes of this, so if you're interested in the written version of this, check the description, check the pinned comment that will be on this video, and kind of just get into the information. I put out a new CD too earlier this week called Nuclear Energy. That's also in the description. Go ahead and download that, stream that, buy that at iTunes. Get into some good vibes. Appreciate everybody's support though, and I will see you guys tomorrow, and we'll be discussing the upcoming new moon. Peace.